Mentira, eu não me sigo. Tá? Pode estar baixo ou alto. Tá. Essa porra tá perdendo. Enfim. Aí eu tenho que falar aqui, ó. Ó. Funciona. Ele- Eu tô usando dois. Tudo e Deus. Tudo e tudo. E agora? Olhando pra cá, eu acho que agora vai. E agora? Olhando pra cá, eu acho que agora vai. Beleza. Agora vai. Fala galera, beleza? Sou o Freud. Aqui é o canal de jogo. Talvez você já tenha me visto lá. Agora eu tô com um canal também estudando. E aí. Porque assim, já tô meio desanimado de estudar sozinho, porque é muito chato. Então eu vou começar a estudar é, inglês, alguma coisa sobre programação. Eu sou bem ruim, mas eu estou treinando para ver se eu fico bom. E inglês, porque eu acho maneiro. E talvez vai ter aulas de alemão aqui também. Vou ver. Mas só que, como eu uso uma plataforma, eu não tenho, talvez, direito de usar. Mas, talvez por o canal ser pequeno, não tenha problema. Primeiro, eu só vou dar uma compartilhada aqui nos meus. O pessoal saber que eu tô nessa live aqui, né? O pessoal me conhece, só deixa eu compartilhar para ver se eles entram e me diz se tá funcionando bonitinho, se tá ruim. Ah, é isso aí. Deixa eu ver aqui mais um. Tem vários grupos, mas poucos assim. Vivo? Eu vivo. Essas ofertas aí não tá me agradando muito, não. Futuramente já perdi um patrocínio, né? Coisa boa. Tá aqui, tá aqui. Deixa eu mandar pra mais um. Esqueci o nome. Roblox. É esse mesmo o nome do grupo. Vamos lá. Primeiro, gente, eu tô treinando inglês, então eu tô tentando ter uma prática na minha audição e fala. Só que para falar inglês tá bem difícil. Eu não acho ninguém que fique disposto assim. Então, caso você saiba falar e queira praticar aqui no chat, também se sinta à vontade, que eu vou sempre dar uma olhada aqui para ver se vocês estão falando alguma coisa. E eu vou tentar responder todo mundo. Se eu não souber inglês, responder inglês, eu vou olhar aqui. Então, mas estou aprendendo, não é mesmo? Por isso que eu fiz o canal. Vamos lá. Eu já fiz isso daqui hoje, tá, gente? Então, já estou um pouco mais seguro para falar sobre isso. Mas eu encontrei esse podcast aqui no, no Spotify, que é Listening Time English Practice. E eu achei legal, porque o hoster desse podcast aqui, ele fez um podcast especialmente para pessoas que estão aprendendo inglês. Então ele não acaba não falando tão rápido, ele fala um pouco mais claro, ele abre um pouco mais a boca para que a gente possa entender. E é por conta disso que eu vou aqui como que vai funcionar. Durante as manhãs eu estudo inglês, só que eu pego material de uma instituição de ensino é, e tento praticar ali. Vocês já viram qualquer instituição, né? Não preciso ficar comentando tanto. Tá aqui do lado, vocês verem. Duas instituições. Mas o podcast eu sempre vou trazer, porque como ele está no Spotify, então eu entendo que é um conteúdo até público, assim, para todo mundo. Não sei se pode me dar ban. Mas, mas se me der ban, eu volto e não faço mais isso. Mas como é um conteúdo assim, que eu acredito que está disponível para todos, eu vou usar isso como base. Então, como que vai funcionar? Nesse podcast aqui, o legal é que cada episódio ele traz uma transcrição do que ele diz e o áudio em si, depois no próprio podcast. O que eu vou fazer? Eu vou tentar ler a transcrição aqui com vocês. É claro, vocês se sintam à vontade de comentar aqui no chat. Eu vou tentar sempre responder. Então, eu vou participar aqui no chat para tentar... Outra cagada aqui, né? Tentar ler ali para que vocês consigam entender bonitinho. Tá? E se estiver funcionando, eu conseguir ler assim para vocês, conseguir passar o que eu li ali, nós vamos escutar junto o áudio e tentar ir captando o que ele foi falando ali. Então, como os áudios geralmente são de 25 minutos, eu acredito que cada live de estudo, principalmente em inglês, será de 25, 30, 40 minutos no máximo. Eu não vou fazer lives longas assim, porque como é um material de estudo, entendo eu que, poxa, se eu estudar horas e horas, talvez eu me canse o suficiente para não conseguir mais entender ou canse vocês que estão assistindo. Novamente, sintam-se à vontade em comentar, pode só não traz conteúdo ofensivo, por favor. Mas conteúdos relacionados a estudo, tanto faz o ensino que você queira ali, você pode colocar aí no chat. Se for um assunto que me agrade também, eu vou talvez fazer uma live sobre isso, tá bom? E sei lá, vamos lá. Deixa eu pegar aqui o material. Já entrei no errado. Burro pra caceta, né, mano? Bota aqui. Isso aqui mesmo. Podcast. English Listening. So, eu anotei aqui do ladinho. Ficou até ruim pra vocês verem. Mas... o que eu anotei aqui? Fiz uma página aqui no Notion, né? Então, eu escrevi aqui que essas notas serão relacionadas a essa aula, a linha de inglês. Então, eu anotei alguns vocabulários que eu não sabia, tá? E eu vou seguir essa dinâmica, tá? Eu vou ler o áudio aqui, a transcrição do áudio com vocês, fazer umas anotações das palavras que eu não conheço. Vocês viram aqui, podem ver aqui embaixo, que são 3 palavrinhas que eu não conhecia ali. E depois nós vamos escutar o áudio, porque eu acho que aí já vai facilitar para o nosso entendimento, até possíveis palavras que nós não sabíamos. Não pudéssemos não saber, nós vamos identificar ali. Deixa eu abrir aqui para ficar maior para vocês. The original. E o meu maior desafio, gente, é que eu vou falar inglês, tá? Falando só em português aqui. Só que é um pré-resumo do que vai acontecer. Mas eu vou tentar só comunicar em inglês nesse canal. Só que o problema, cara, é que eu tenho uma puta vergonha. Eu vou tentar me aliviar sobre isso. Vamos lá. So let's start. In my right side, I put my Notion where I can make my notes. So this I will put each episode I will listen. So today is the episode 1. So I put the link to the audio, and below I put the notes, the transcript of this audio. Okay, so below I put the vocabulary, the words I don't know. So I search the means. So undoubtedly I use it to emphasize that something is true. So we use this word when we say something is true. Okay, I put this means here. I just I just copied the Cambridge Dyson Ray. So she was undoubtedly the best candidate. So I want to say he's the best. So I want to emphasize the best. So if something is good, I emphasize using undoubtedly. Em português, we can use sem dúvidas. É a melhor, sem dúvidas. So in English, we usually use undoubtedly. So, transcript listening time, episode 1. Now I will start to reading this. Oh, you can see? Yes. So, let me do this here. Yes. A little better. Yes. let's start. I have a drink water. I am a little anxious and nervous. Ah, let's see. Uh, send a photo. Okay. So let's start. Welcome to Listening Time Podcast. I am Connor. This is the host of the podcast, right? I'm Connor with polyglossa.com, and you are listening to episode 1 of the Listening Time Podcast. This podcast is for English learners who want to practice their English listening. This is a good resource for you if you are not able to understand the real native speech spoken at the real speed, but you are more advanced than just a low beginner level. So that's my case, okay? I can't understand everything what a native says, but if someone talking to me a little more slow and with a little pause, I can understand what they saying. So I was looking for something can help me to understand better the lesson, and I can improve my skills in English. So I find this podcast. So I think this podcast can help me just me, but even me more people. So I I decided to open this channel and make these videos, and well, let's see what's gonna happen. But I think it's gonna be good. So let's continue. Good pronunciation. Thank you very much, Vitor Hugo. Uh, I am very nervous. Vitor Hugo is my cousin, so he was watching this live to see the audio, the video settings, and probably he can learn with us. So let's continue. Uh, where I stop? Okay, here. If that's your case, then this is a great podcast for you. So today is this introduction episode. I'm going to talk to you about few things. I'm going to talk to you about the format of this podcast. I'm going to explain how it works and the structure of it. Ah, remember, I forgot to say, Vitor Hugo, this this live is will based on the podcast where I found in Spotify. So I don't know if it's a copyright, but probably no, because it's Spotify and everyone can access. So I think it's good. But if I have a timeout, I return without this podcast. I think in another structure to talk in English with you. So let me show you here the Spotify. Okay, this no, it's not just the transcript. I will read this transcript for the people. Okay, and after that we will listening to the audio, and I will make in the right side here. I put the notion with some notes. So I will put the vocabulary, the words I don't know, with your means. And after that, after read the transcription, I will put the audio to listening with everyone. Okay, I think reading first we can search some kind of words we don't know and search for the means. And after that, listening the audio, I think we can understand it better the context and what he wants to say to us. Okay, so wow, I am very nervous. to speak it in English with you. So I hope it I hope it's gonna work. Okay. Uh, can you understand what I say? Let's wait for the answer. Oh, guys, I don't work. I'm looking for a job, but even I had a job, I will making these lives and study a lot. So I decided to create this channel to study with you and help you studying more. And I want to be more confident speaking in English, okay? So let's continue. Thank you, Victor. So what I in a case, so today's root episode. Okay, I'm going to explain. I'm in here, okay, people. I'm going to explain how it works and the structure of it, and I'm going to talk to you about how to use this podcast, how it can be more beneficial to you, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, Connor. He's homeless, guys. Give him some credit. Some of the I don't use bad words in this channel, okay? But when we start to play tonight, I will respond to this message. Uh, so we are going to go ahead and get started. So let's get to it. So in this part, the Connor, the host of the podcast, says he will explain to us how it works, the channel and the podcast. So I will continue to reading for us. And Victor, I know you are the only person watching this live right now. So if you don't understand something, please put in these comments. I will read, and if something I can help you, I will try to help. Okay. All right. So first, let's talk about the format of this podcast. This podcast will air on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Here is the everyday, okay? I just reading. Um, at least that's how I plan to air the podcast right now. But the most likely I will be 3 days a week. So you should have a plenty of podcasts to use to practice your listening. And each podcast will be about 25 minutes in length. So that's what I said before. This live studying English you probably will during 30 no, 40 minutes because is the time of the sorry it's time for the episode we are listening, and more minutes, a little more minutes, because I will read and after that I will comment something and make notes. So probably I think in the maximum 1 hour of podcast of live. Sorry, okay. So let's start. Some of them might be shorter, and some then might longer. But in general, each podcast will be somewhere around 15 minutes long. So you have a pretty long podcast and a lot of material to practice your listening. So in each podcast, I'm planning on talking about 2 or 3 different topics each. For example, maybe today I want to talk about travel and food, or maybe tomorrow I want to talk about cars or other everyday routine topics. Really, I am going to talk about everything. So I hopefully the talks will be interesting for you, and they will be new each time, and it will be a good resource for you overall. I'm going to be speaking very clearly, as clear as can. You can hear an example of that with this intro podcast. I'm speaking very clearly, right? My voice is really relative, easy to understand, easier than most native speakers. And so I'm going to speak speaking pretty clearly, and I will be speaking just a little bit more slowly than I would you normally speak with other Americans or other native speakers. So I'm going speaking really slowly. In this case, I will speaking slowly too because I'm not native, so it's my natural speak slowly in English. I try to make the sentence in my head, but I am try to be more natural speaking with you. So it's gonna be a little time, but I think in the future I can make this more natural and I can help you more, okay? I'm not speaking at the really unnatural piece, but I am speaking in just a little bit more slowly and a little more clearly than I already American. So if each podcast we will also have access to the transcript. So that's it right now. I am reading the transcript. So the transcript will help you understand all the words and phrases you missed the first time around. Maybe if you're listening to me right now, you can understand most of what I am saying, but not everything. And so the transcript will help you find fill in the gaps for those missing words or missing phrases. The transcripts will be auto-generated, so they won't be perfect. I will try to edit them a little bit before I upload them, but honestly, I probably won't have the time to edit out the mistakes and in the transcripts. But hopefully, there won't be too many. So that will be a great resource for you as well to help you with this podcast. So now okay, okay, no. So let's talk how to use this podcast. So first, first of all, who is this podcast for? Who should be listening to the listening time podcast? Well, ideally, if you have an English level of lower, intermediate, or higher beginning, this is probably a good resource for you. For example, if you have an A2 level of English or a B1 level of English, this will be perfect for you to practice with. I don't know my level, but I have cash enough to pay to make the test. So I think I am intermediate English. So that's why I am using this podcast. Okay. However, if you have a high level, let's say a B2 level, that's okay. You can use this podcast to help you understand it better, to help to improve your listening. It should still be a good tool because I will undoubtedly, this is the word I don't know what means, so I put here in the vocabulary. Undoubtedly use be emphasize that something is true. Okay. Use a certain words or phrases that are new to you. So even if I can understand 95% of what I'm saying, this podcast should be still be a good resource for you because the other sheer amount of vocabulary that you will hear during this podcast. And of the other side, if you have an A1 level, this podcast will probably to be difficult for you. I'm not speaking very slowly. I'm speaking a little slow, but not very slowly. And I am going to be using normal vocabulary that I'm leaving of the office. We can play talking online English tonight. You're doing very well, Mika. Thank you very much, Victor. Uh, Take care, okay? Tell me when you arrive at home. Bye. I lost the bye to my microphone. I am so stupid. So bye. Let me see where I stop it. Uh, Very slowly. I'm speaking a little slow, but not very slowly. I'm going to use the normal vocabulary that I would normally use to other native speakers. So if you are not, uh, uh, this means you are, okay, this contraction. So you're at a lower beginning level, like A1 or maybe a very low A2 level. This might to be too hard for you. But if you are really motivated, if you really want to listen to this podcast, that's great. And you have the transcript. So that transcript should help you. If you read through it, look up all the new words, all the new phrases, and then listening to this podcast again, that will definitely be helpful for you. But ideally, this podcast is for people who are at the level where they can understand a natural stripped speech very easily, but they can't understand authentic native speak that is spoken at a real pace, a real speed. If that's your level, this podcast is perfect for you. So it's my case. I can understand when someone says some chat in English, but if they say in a natural speed, so I can understand so much. So I need to the people say in had a conversation in English with me very a little slow, so I want to understand more and better. So that's it. I am repeating every single time this. I am studying with you. Really, I am learning. So don't came here and think I know everything. I just learning practicing English. So please give me a credit, okay? The reason I made this podcast or I'm making this podcast is to help students transition between that really fake scripted beginner listening practice types videos to real authentic content. So maybe you can understand American podcasts made for American listeners, but using the really artificial fake listening practice lessons that you find online or in paid programs, maybe those are too unnatural or too easy for you, and you need to help transitioning between this beginner level programs and real speech. Right, so this podcast will be a podcast for you to transition to real speech. So I'm speaking without a script, different by me. I with your script here. Okay, I didn't plan the words that I am saying right now. I am speaking spontaneously, so you are hearing me Connor speaking normally just a little bit slower and a little bit more clearly. But the words I'm saying, the vocabulary I'm using, all the things I am saying are normal for me. I'm not reading sometime right now. Even me, okay. When I say to I'm saying something to you, I don't have a script to read what I am saying, but I try to make the sentences in my head. So uh, because of that, I probably stop to say something in the middle of the phrase. I am thinking what I am saying to you. So I hope it's not get a problem to you. But let's continue. Okay. Um, Here. And that's what makes this podcast real useful. It's that I'm not writing script for you. So if I write a script and I read it, you are not going to hear authentic speech, right? I'm going to be reading, and that's not real speech. But if I do the podcast like this without a script, then you are going to able to hear what real speech sounds like, just in a clearer and slower way. Right, so that should be helpful for you, and I hope you find this type of talking, this type of audio useful? I know I do. When I learn other languages, I always search for podcasts or other audio like this, where it's a native speaker who is speaking maybe a little bit more clearly than the average native speaker. And I use those videos, podcasts, audios to improve my listening when I speak in other languages. So hopefully, this will be a good tool for you to do that. So as I mentioned it before, this podcast is more for learners who are not ready for the real content yet. If you have a very high level and you can understand the real content, there is really no need for you to use this podcast and these lives. Uh, Even I get in the high level, I will continue to make this podcast where you can learn with me. And please make your questions. I will read all them and I will try to improve my English or help you to understand something here. Okay. Again, these lives and this channel is not about just in English. Okay. I will today it is English. Okay. But I am thinking bring some other content to like code, uh, language of program languages, sorry. And I don't know, but even I am trying to understand Germany, so probably I can try to German here too. So let's see what's happen in the future. If I be more confident, I try to speak with you about other topics. Okay. So so I stopped here. Okay. I am happy to have you here listening this podcast. So in terms of how to use it exactly, I recommend you to say two ways. You can listening to this podcast actively or you can listening to passively. So when I say yes actively, I mean, oh my god, almost five. Sorry guys. When I say actively, I mean that you sit down, put your headphones, and pull up the transcription and listening, and do nothing else. That's actively listening. Of course, that's fantastic. That's very helpful if you can do that right. That will be the most beneficial way to for you to listen to this podcast. And when you do that, you can read the transcription or you can just listen in the podcast. It depends on how you want to use it, how much you understand, and I will talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. But before that, I wanted to talk about passive listening. So if you don't have a bunch of free time, but you still want to practice your English listening, you can listen to this podcast or these lives passively. What does what does that mean? Well, while you are doing something else, for example, driving to work, washing the dishes, cleaning the house, exercising, things like that, where you are doing one thing, but your brain is free, you can use that time to listening to this podcast passively. You can use this podcast during that time. And of course, you won't be 100% focused on the podcast. You won't be 100 focused on what you are listening to, but you will still be able to listen, learning new vocabulary, train your listening, etc. One thing here in won't, will not, okay? When we contract the will not, we use the won't. Um, So you can listen to the podcast actively or passively or both. You probably have time or situation where you can do both in one day. So in terms of transcript, right, you might ask, how do I use the transcript? Well, let me tell you how I use transcriptions when I do my listening practice and when I learn languages. So what I do is, if I have the transcription to an audio, I read the transcription first, and I look up any new words that I don't know, and then after that I listen to the audio with the transcription. However, if the audio is at a level that's somewhat easy for me, if it's not difficult, or if the subject is very familiar to me, then sometimes I will just listening to the podcast the first time without the transcript. I will listening to the audio the first time without reading it. You will know based on your level how you can go about listening the first time, right? If you have a higher level like B1, maybe you want to try listening without the transcript the first time. Or if you have a lower level like an A A2 level, maybe you will want you to start with the transcript. So here I have two tips to you. The first, you, apostrophe L means you is the contracted form to you will. So let's put here. Here, you will. You can see? Yes, you can see. You will. So this is the height, the long form. So when we are writing, we usually use you. You will. Okay, it's the same thing. You will. You will. Let me see. And here, where? Okay. Here. Am. Am and it means the same thing. Okay. When we use am, when the phrase is the letter, the next letter is a vogal. A, B, A, E, I, O, U are the vowels. So we use M, A-N, M, N. And when the next letter is not a vowel, we use A, okay? So these two things means the same thing. So means uma, okay? So here, you means você ou vocês. So you can mean you, or você ou vocês. It's depend of the context, okay? If you looking around of the class, you means vocês, and when you talk with someone or just a one person, when you look for the person, and you means você, okay? So depends the situation. So what's that? Oh my god! Today I just read the transcription. Sorry, I need to catch out my cousin in the school, so I forgot that. Okay, let's finish the transcription. However, regardless of whether you use the transcript the first time or no, or whether you do it like me and you read the whole transcription the first time before listening to the podcast, regardless of what you do, what I really would recommend that you do is repeat, right? Listening to the same podcast episode multiple times. This is what I do when I am practicing my listening in other languages. I listen to the same audio 3, 4, 5, even 10 times sometimes. And the reason I do this is because when you repeat an audio like that, or when you read something again and again, what happens in that your brain starts to accurate the new vocabulary, the new phrases, the grammatical structures. Really, you don't even realize it's happening, but it happens. When you do this repetition, which with my listening practice, I realize that I don't have to write down any new vocabulary. When I repeat the same audio 5 times, for example, by the end of the fifth time, I realize that I remember the words. I remember the new phrases. I can use the new grammatical structures. I realize that my brain is capturing all this through the repetition. So for him, uh, this wave works, but for me, I usually make a notes, okay, read my notes and read again what I was studying, and after that, I try to practice, okay. I'm practicing my English speaking with someone. I don't know who are watching or who will watching this video, so I usually work this way, okay. So let's continue. So now when I do my listening practice, I never have to write lists of vocabulary words. I never do that anymore. In the past, before I used this repetition technique, I always did that. I always had lists of vocabulary, but now I don't. Now I remember all of the new vocabulary, all of the new phrases as long as I repeat the same audio many times. So I recommend you listening to each episode multiple types, right? With the transcription without the practice, or the way I do it is I first read the transcription, then I listening with the transcription couple times, and then I listening without the transcription a couple times. Couple means 2 times, okay? I read 2 times. I listen in the audio 2 times, and I read the transcription 2 times. Sorry, or you can say twice. Okay, I read twice and listen twice. So let's continue. And you might say, "Whoa, it's a little boring to listen to the same thing multiple times." I understand that. Hopefully, I will be able to find interesting topics to talk about, so that it won't be too boring to repeat the same podcast. Hopefully, you will like the topics I choose, and you will be everyday contemporary topics or other types of topics, but in general, hopefully they will be interesting. And you can always request a new topics if you want me to talk about a specific subject. These parts I can say the same thing, because if you want to study another thing or another language, or you have any question about the English, if I know, I can tell you, or if I don't know, I will search with you and look for the means. We are here to learn something, okay? Just study, because the most important thing, I think, because everything in the future, okay? So yes, repeat hopefully every day, and hopefully they will be interesting. And you can always request new topics if you want me to talk about a specific subject. Guys, I will read, so just even here, because below he was talking about their other websites, their about himself. So I want to bring to you the text and transcription of the podcast. I invite you to listen the podcast. I listened to the first episode. I think that was amazing because he was a great pronunciation of the words. He's a native, yes, but I mean with great pronunciation is he say it clearly, slowly, like he mentioned of the test text. So I really like this podcast. So let me show you again here. Practice your English listening. I am the first episode, so I will try to bring more episodes with you for you. Sorry, that's it. This is my live where I try to learn more things, and I hope you can learn too and even teach me something. Okay, thank you very much for your attention and have a nice day. Bye bye.